What's going on, guys? Wanted to do a video today which the title may have upset some of you or may have provoked some strong feelings, which is the fact that most of you will probably fail following stock alert services. And there's a few reasons for that, and I want to dive into them into this video. I think it'll be interesting. I'm open to discussion in the comments for you guys that don't agree with me or do agree with me, but I do feel like this is something we should talk about. So I don't script any of these videos, as you can probably tell. I just talk off the top of my head, and I hope that is something that resonates with you guys. So let's get started. Let's talk about stock alert services. So I'm probably one of the few people in the world that is subscribed to so many stock alert services. I've been or am a member of dozens and dozens and dozens of these services, and some of them are good, some of them are not great. But all of them have the potential to make you money, and it's really up to the individual how they deal with that. And here's the crux of the whole thing. You dictate your own financial future. You can have somebody who you're paying to make you money. You can have them, you can pay them whatever you want. But at the end of the day, the financial responsibility is up to you. You take their trades, you manage the risk, and you decide whether you trust them or not. And that is where this really comes into its own, is you have to really decide, do I believe what the people are saying is true, or am I going to go my own way and take my own risks, manage my own trades, and take my own rewards? And it's a very interesting, complex topic, and I really think this is going to be an interesting discussion. Before we get started, I want to say at the moment, this guy, Roger Scott from WealthPress, Stealth Surge Alerts, has had a 20-win row. So winning 20 trades, options trades in a row, which has been phenomenal. I'll leave a link in the description. You can go through my whole review here. I take these trades, I don't just paper trade them, I take them properly, and they're all in these video reviews down the bottom right here. We're going to use him as an example for some of the stuff that I talk about in this particular video. So definitely check this out, because it's going to be interesting. So one of the things I've noticed over the last probably 5 years since I've been taking more and more of these alert services and promoting them online and starting communities where we talk about them, is there's a very familiar curve that happens. So what happens is I take a few trades, I like them, I promote them online on my YouTube channel or my blog posts or my Facebook group, and suddenly people start making money and everything goes fantastic. And then there's a down period. And so the down period is when everybody starts talking about stuff. They disappear, they stop responding to the Discord messages if it's a Discord group dedicated to that alert service, and things just go bad. And so I want to kind of address that today, talk about why that might happen and how you can avoid it, because it's something you really want to avoid. I'm going to use examples from Nate Bear's Profit Surge Trader. I'm going to use examples from Roger Scott's WealthPress, easy for me to say, WealthPress Stealth Surge Alerts, and kind of build up a picture here of what you can do and can't do and what to expect from these services in general. So the first point is, you really expect them to do their due diligence for you, right? You're paying them a certain fee. Sometimes it's as low as $179, which is what you pay Nate Bear. That's per year. Sometimes it's as much as $1,500 a year. Sometimes more, sometimes $5,000 a year, although I wouldn't recommend paying that for anything. And so you expect them to find stocks that are likely to go up, and then you play the options on those. Now, this all sounds great, and these guys are usually profitable. I'm a very optimistic person in terms of these guys are not scam artists. These are people who are making these trades, they're making money, and they're trying to help you. But the problem is it's not that easy, right? And so one thing I wanted to show you of why it's not so easy is a very simple illustration. So if we go over to Excel here, imagine you and a guru. So you join the guru service, this guy Guru over here, this is you. And you start taking his trade recommendations. So you're trading options, whatever your position size is. I'm just making up numbers here. Imagine on the first few trades you make $1,000 for your first trade. You're going to be shouting this guy's praises from the rooftop, right? You're going to be like, this guy's the best guy ever. I can't believe this. I made $1,000. That's a tenth of my salary for the whole month. I did it in one trade. It's easy. And the guru is going to make $1,000 as well. You're likely going to be able to replicate his success for most part. There's some gurus where you have to be a little bit careful. They might be riding momentum, and you can't keep up with that momentum. That's a whole different story that I don't really want to talk about today. But you make $1,000, the guru makes $1,000. The next trade you make 300, he makes 300. Everything's great. You've made $1,300. A couple of trades takes like 10, not even 10 minutes, 5 minutes just to do this. And then sort of keep an eye on your email or on your dashboard for that particular guru. Then you make $500 and it's even better, and you're like, wow, I've made $1,800 and so's the guru. Maybe the guru's made a bit more, maybe he's made a bit less. There's a bit of slippage depending on how you manage your trades. But this is where it gets interesting. So it gets interesting when the guru starts to lose money, because people give up when the guru starts losing money. And I want to make this clear from the next 3 trades. The guru then enters a trade which is minus 400. He makes minus 400, you make minus 400. The next trade is even worse. It's minus 800 and you make minus 800. And this of course scales. If you have 10 times the account size, you make 8,000, minus 8,000, minus 8,000, minus 10,000, or minus, So I'm just using like maybe 5 contracts here, for example, like on your particular options close to the money. And so even with a 70% win rate, you can lose, and I've put this at a 70% win rate, you can lose the next 3 trades in a row very easily and suddenly become a negative trader. So you're making negative amounts of money, so you're becoming unprofitable, minus $400. 3 trades in a row is all it takes for people, and this is my experience of talking to lots and lots of traders. 3 trades in a row that are negative are enough to turn people off from a service. Now think about how ridiculous that is. We're talking about you need to be able to extrapolate to large numbers. You can't take 3 trades and then be like, oh, I'm minus $400, this guy's a scammer or a loser or whatever. And so you go through this and you decide that, okay, I've taken $1,000 loss. I can't handle this. This is terrible. This guy's a scammer. And that negative thinking is what causes you to then stop taking the trades. So the next trade you take, you don't take it. The next trade you don't take it. The next trade you don't take it. And you go online and you start calling the guy a scammer, or you just go quiet. That's the big thing I see, is in a lot of my communities, people just go quiet. They don't say anything. They don't bash people. They just go quiet. And they end up with a minus $400 loss. Obviously the scales depending on your contracts, your stocks, or whatever. And you're sitting there going, nah, this service wasn't really worth it. I paid $1,000 and I lost $400. Meanwhile, the guru takes the trades you took, takes the losses you took, but continues trading. And this is so simple, yet it's so true. And they continue, and they make $1,200 profit in the time it took you to make minus $400. And this is what I see time and time and time and time again, is people don't understand that you have to make every single trade the guru takes, or you cannot compare the performances. That's difficult. I'm not saying it's easy. It's a very difficult thing to do. You have to be able to take the trades, which means you can't be busy at work. You can't be taking a kid to daycare. You have to be able to take these trades in order to replicate the guru's performance. So when you really think about it, it comes down to the same mentality that if you were trading by yourself. So if you were trading by yourself, you would not be able to take every trade that is out there because you're taking your kid to daycare, or you're taking, time off or whatever. So you have to realize that this is a typical scenario where the guru makes money, but you lose money overall. So how on earth do you fix that? That's the big question. How do you stop this from happening? Because this is not really fair, right? Like, this is hard. If you take $1,000 loss on your 3rd losing trade in a row, you're going to stop trading. It's hard. You have to force yourself to continue trading. And there's a couple of things. This is a 70% win rate, so this is not a low win rate system. Some of the best systems in the world only win 50% of the time. Can you imagine how many people will quit if they only win 50% of the time? It's a lot. So here's a couple of tips that I've found that really have helped me over the years. They've helped me recently. They've helped me with Nate Baer's Profit Surge Trader. They've helped me with Roger Scott's Stealth Surge Trader as well. And the first thing is, you want to start taking profits early. So if you look at the statistics for a winning trader, say Nate Baer, and he's averaging a 10 to 20% win percentage, so obviously more than that, but if his wins are only about 10 or 20%, do you really want to hold onto them when they're 50%? Or, you know, you don't. You want to take that profit off the table quickly. Even if he's not allowed to sell, it doesn't matter. You want to take those profits. So, for example, recently, let's just give a recent example. If we go to UPST. Recently, Nate Bear on Profit Surge Trader, which I'll leave a link in the description below. It's a phenomenal service. This guy turned $37,000 into $2.7 million. The problem is replicating them is not as easy as it sounds or as easy as it should be. So for example, here I took profits immediately here when he got to 10%. So I entered about the same time as him. You could enter on a slight dip here. And I took profits here as soon as he was up about 10% because I know that his average win is between 10 and 20%. So I figured that was the smart thing to do. Now look what happened next. This whole thing just tanked all the way down to here. And the people that do not like the service are the people that will have stopped out down here, even though he hasn't stopped out yet. And the reason he hasn't stopped out yet is because he has a system that he follows that works out profitable for him. Not necessarily for you, but for him. Because he knows he'll make that up on all the profitable trades that you'll sit out and not take because he took them and you don't take them because you're scared of his system now. This did spike the next day and you'd have actually got better prices than I did. But of course, a lot of people will have stopped out down here, not trusting him. And it becomes this game where you have this psychological thing where you're like, well, the guru didn't stop out, so I'm not going to stop out. You have to have your own rules and manage these trades. These gurus are doing the research for you. They're finding the likely profitable trades, but you're still responsible for managing your own trades. Regardless of whether they think it'll go to 100% or 200% or 10%, it doesn't matter. You have to manage your own trades. And I think that's key to actually making money with these trade alert services is use their ideas as a starting point, and then you manage your own trades based on your own risk reward. Nate Bear, for example, can afford to lose 100% of the position because he's going to continue on and make these extra trades here, which you won't because you're freaked out and don't like him anymore. And he'll become profitable with $1,200 profit and you'll become negative 400. This is just obviously a cartoon example. So a few things you can do. You can start taking profits early. You can do what I did is I took 10% on that. He ended up closing for a loss. I made more money than him. You can wait for dips. And so you can enter trades only when they dip. And then you can actually have a better risk reward ratio than the traders that are alerting these themselves. You can do better than a guru or a trade alerter than they do themselves if you just manage the risk yourself. So it just takes a little bit of sort of brain processing, figuring out what you want to do. So let me use Roger Scott as an example. If you want to check Roger Scott's Stealth Surge alerts out, this is one of my absolutely top favorite alert services of all time. I came across him a few months ago. Actually, I'd written a bad review about him a couple of years ago. He seemed like a scammer to me. I wasn't really trustworthy. I wasn't trusting him at all. And he actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, join Stealth Surge, and I'll show you. I'm not full of crap, basically." And I did, and he is amazing. So, like this is something you really want to check out. If you want to learn more, check out the description. You'll find links to both this page right here, and also my full review of everything I've done with him. So let's use this as an example. Let's scroll down to where he had a bad streak. So, I don't know, down here, he had a bad streak. Let's zoom in and go back down. Okay, so imagine you started trading here and you took a minus 100% loss. Then you took another minus 100% loss. Then you made a little bit and then you took a minus 85% loss. Then you had a few wins, then you took a minus 42%, minus 79%, minus 46% loss. You would give up at this point. I know I would. Most people would. They'd be like, this guy's a scammer. None of his picks work out. It's all nonsense. But here's the problem. As numbers start to add up, you start to see, yeah, sure, there's a couple of big losses in here, but there's lots and lots of wins. And in recent times, he's had 20 wins in a row all the way up here. So here's the percentage return right here. He's had 20 wins in a row, which completely cancel plus a lot more all these losing trades that you saw at the start. You've got to stick with these services and or adapt them to your own trading preferences in order to make money. Here are the real statistics that are not faked in any way. He's at a profit factor of 1.84, which is fantastic. For every dollar he risks, he makes $1.84. That is phenomenal. It's very, very good. He's had a cumulative losses of 72,000. He's made 133,000 in gains. The profit is $60,000. This is the thing. This is one of the highest win rate strategies I've ever seen. It's one of the best profit factors I've ever seen, but a lot of people will have quit if they started back here when there was 100% losses or 86% losses right here. You've got to stick with these things and follow the law of large numbers or large sample size in order to be able to make a judgment on whether a service can actually work for you or not. I highly recommend this service. The last 20 trades in a row have worked. I fully expect there to be losses coming up soon, but I'm okay with that because I've already made plenty of money. I'm maybe going to size down a little bit just to accommodate the fact that there's bound to be a few losing trades coming up. Bound to be. You can't just win every trade. And I think this is something you guys could really benefit from. So make sure you check out the description below. He does stocks, he does options. It's all through your email, and it's not a rush to get in. A lot of these trades are easy to enter the next day at a better price. So definitely check this out. So I hope this is helpful. I hope this makes you realize that these gurus that are alerting stocks that are claiming profits are not necessarily scam artists. It's the way that it's difficult to encompass all of our emotions, all of our own trading styles with how they're trading that leads to this discrepancy between what they're making and then what we're making. There's lots and lots of factors that go into this. For example, if you are on a losing streak, let's say for example this, even if you were to enter this, maybe you would take profits really quickly and only make $200, where he made $500, and you're still net negative for the time. So there's so many things that come into this. It far exceeds the scope of this video, but you can see how things can be influenced just by your own mental status and your own risk reward comfort. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. I really do think you guys can benefit from alert services, in particular Nate Bear's Profit Surge Trader. I'll leave a link in the description below, and also from things like Stealth Surge Alerts, which I'll leave a link in the description below for as well. This guy is one of the best out there. One of the things to do if you have a hard time getting your head around this idea of being able to lose half your trades or 40% of your trades, one of the things you can do is join thetatraders.com, and I'll leave a link for that as well, where you can win like 90% of your trades, and that at least gets you over the hurdle of having to be able to deal with losing trades. That's a big part of the psychology of it all. So I'll leave a link in the description for that as well. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully you guys can understand what I'm trying to say here, and I'll talk to you guys soon.